to my corner of the internet. I'm Shannon, and today I've got another book talk video to share with you guys. And today we're going to be talking about The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. This isn't the first book of CJ's that I've read on and reviewed on this channel. I also did The Other People a year or two ago, and I really loved that. And I really, really loved this one. First of all, look how gorgeous that cover is. That red. Stunning. It's not often, I keep looking around at my bookshelves, it's not often you see a full book cover, just that beautiful deep red. Love that. Now, before we get into why I love this book so much, I need to share with you a little, I don't want to call it beef, because it's not beef, but a little thing that really, really confused me about this book. It confused me so much that I had to go to my husband and be like, I had to just vent my confusion to him because I didn't know if I was missing something. And then I went to Goodreads and I read some of the reviews to see if they knew something I didn't know. And it seemed like nobody did. And as I'm reading and reading, my confusion was building. So let me tell you what had me so confused. I get the book. I read the back, as you do. So blurb, and then down here, towards the end of the blurb, there's this sentence. The more Jack and his daughter Flo explore the town and get to know blah, 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 okay? So there, the more Jack and his daughter Flo, says it right on the back. Now, I start the book. In my mind, Jack is a man because it says so on the back. But within a couple of pages, it's Jack's referring to himself as a woman. Jack's daughter is calling Jack mom. So as I'm reading it, I was like, is this some sort of thing that's going to come in as a twist at the end or something? But no. By the time I finished the book, I realized that it's just a typo on the back. Jack's a woman, short for Jacqueline. That's it. So I'm guessing whoever was printing the back saw the word Jack, thought maybe the her was a misprint and substituted it for his. I don't know. But when I tell you I was so confused, I was so confused. Now, that's neither here nor there. But just keep that in mind if you read the book. Or if you've already read it, did you notice that as well? All right, so this book is about a woman named Jack Brooks. Her and her daughter are leaving the town where they live and they're moving to a small town. Jack is a priest at a church in England, which as I was reading, I was learning about the Church of England because I really didn't know much about it. It seems to be Catholicism with some more progressive rules, like women can be priests, they can marry. So Jack and her husband had both been reverends in the church. So we find out fairly early on that her husband's passed away. It has been for quite some time because Flo's 14 now and she was 18 months old when her dad died. We learned that right before they moved, a really intense tragedy befell the parish where Jack used to be the vicar of the church, and they're kind of leaving in need of a fresh start. So they moved to this small town where, you know, typical small town, and it's even more than a small town. They refer to it as a village, which, you know, just really impresses that it's a very small town. From there, we start to meet some of the locals. We get to know Jack and Flo more. Jack isn't quite your average vicar. You know, she likes to swear and drink, and she's just a little different than what you might expect a vicar to be like. And they're trying to get settled in as best they can. And the story begins to be told from sort of three different points of view. Jack's, Flo's, and an unknown male voice that we're not sure who that belongs to at first. We also get some flashback scenes, and we also learn a bit about the town where they've moved to and the title of this book. So I'm going to read you the entire blurb on the back because that will sort of give you, in a more condensed, to the point manner than I ever could, what this book's about. So an unconventional vicar must exorcise the dark past of a remote village haunted by death and disappearances in this explosive, unsettling thriller. A dark history lingers in Chapel Croft. 500 years ago, Protestant martyrs were betrayed and then burned. 30 years ago, 2 teenage girls disappeared without a trace. And a few weeks ago, the vicar of the local parish hanged himself in the nave of the church. Reverend Jack Brooks, a single parent with a 14-year-old daughter and a heavy conscience, arrives in the village hoping for a fresh start. Instead, Jack finds a town rife with conspiracies and secrets and is greeted with a strange welcome package, an exorcism kit and a note that warns, but there is nothing covered up that will not be revealed and hidden that will not be known. The more Jack and his daughter Flo explore the town and get to know its strange denizens, the deeper they're drawn into the age-old rifts, mysteries, and suspicions. And when Flo begins to see specters of girls ablaze, it becomes apparent there are ghosts here that refuse to be laid to rest. Uncovering the truth can be deadly in a village with a bloody past where everyone has something to hide and no one trusts an outsider. So that sounds amazing, and it was amazing. And I actually recently believe I read on Twitter that it's going to be turned into a TV show. And I think that will be great. As I was reading this, I kept thinking, I can see this on screen. It would be a perfect TV show. So the Burning Girls are little twig dolls that are made and they're sort of put around the town. And because of what happened with the Protestant martyrs when they were betrayed and then burned. And so yeah, it's this really intense mystery where we're trying to find out what happened to the 2 girls who disappeared 30 years ago, what happened in Jack's old parish that kind of ran them out of town, and we're waiting to see who the third sort of mystery voice belongs to. And I couldn't put it down. Last night, I was about 100 pages in last night, and then I blew through the rest of it in a couple of hours. It was so good. Now, to be fair, I had the added mystery on my mind of why Jack was referred to as a man on the back, so take that out of the equation, and it was even better because I was so confused by that. Yeah, so I'm going to leave it here for if you don't want any spoilers. Now's definitely the time to click away. We'll talk a little bit about some spoiler type things for those of you that have read it or aren't interested in reading it but want to hear a bit more about it. If you love a good thriller, I will say there are some parts of the book, especially nearing the end, that do get a little intense and a little violent. That's something that you're not really interested in, then probably avoid this. But otherwise, I definitely recommend it. I think on Goodreads, I'm going to rate this maybe 5 stars. I thought this was so good. And like I said, I liked her book, The Other People, but this definitely topped that by a lot. I love that. I get so excited for an author when it seems like every book they're putting out is better than the last. I love that. And that definitely, for me, with my experience with CJ Tudor, has been the case. She's just fantastic. And yeah, loved it. So so now that they're gone, we can get into the spoilers a little bit. One of the things that we find out as we start nearing the end, and this is a book that's kind of hard to talk about play by play because not a ton happens. Like, a ton happens, but it's hard to explain. Anyway, so I'm just going to give you some of the big points. We find out that the sort of mystery man narrator is Jack's brother. We find out that he killed her husband. He's the one that killed her husband back, nearly 13 years ago. And we find out that it was because he knew that Jack's husband was abusing her physically. But Josh, her brother, he's always been really troubled, in and out of prisons and mental, institutions. And as we're as we're seeing him trying to find her, because he's recently released, and so now he's trying to find her, and as he's searching for her, he goes to the places where he knew she used to be, and if she's not there, he kills whoever's there, and he's on a rampage, it feels like. And you start to worry that he's planning on hurting her and Flo. But in the end, that doesn't end up being the case. If anything, he's still very protective of them, and you kind of get the feeling he just wanted to make sure that they were okay. The incident that Jack and Flo were kind of running from to get a fresh start from is that there was a small girl, I think her name was Ruby, at their old church who ended up dying because of neglectful parents, and the parents were parishioners, and Jack feels very guilty that she didn't see any of the warning signs, any of the red flags that these parents were being neglectful. Even though, you know, she does check in from time to time. She does try to get social services involved, but it doesn't really help. And before anyone can take her seriously, the young girl has been, her life has been taken. I think she was like 7. And it's framed in such a way that her parents are kind of religious zealots, and they get it in their mind that this child, who they've adopted, like it's not even their blood child, they adopt this child or foster it, and then they get it in their mind that the child's possessed. And what starts happening first is Jack notices that the child's just getting thinner and thinner as the weeks go on. And like I said, she really feels a lot of guilt that she didn't see the warning signs sooner. And then eventually, when the parents do take the girl's life, it's framed as like a sacrifice to get rid of the evil in her. Just awful. So there's kind of 2 other reveals, sort of twists. Flo, when she's living in the town, she meets up with this young boy, and he's kind of the town outcast, a bit of a weirdo. And so her mom, of course, immediately off the bat gets a little nervous about Flo spending time with him, but it's kind of meant to throw us off. We're supposed to think like, oh no, well he's just a nice guy, she's being overprotective. But it does end up turning out that he's definitely a bad guy. Just definitely weird guy doing bad things. I won't get into all the things he's done, but that was kind of one of the twists, and I liked how that was done. How at the beginning, you know, he's kind of the obvious choice for the bad guy, but then we're sort of persuaded into no, he isn't, and then he is. And then the final big twist is that of those 2 girls that went missing 30 years ago, Mary and Joy were their names. We learned that Reverend Jack Brooks, Jacqueline, was one of those girls. And they end up finding, it's after they end up finding the body of one of the other girl, that she kind of reveals to us that she's the other one. And she'd always wondered what had happened to her best friend. She never knew. But after, you know, she left and changed her name to get a fresh start then too. So that's sort of the big reveal that she is Joy. I believe she was Joy. And I definitely didn't see that coming. Not at all. Anyway, I thought this was a great book. I thought it was well written. I thought it was very engaging. It kept me interested. It kept me guessing. I think it'll make a fantastic TV show. Can't wait to see that. And yeah, anyway, that's going to do it for me for today, you guys. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read this and if you have, what you thought of it. And if you haven't, let me know if you're planning on it. Also, how was your weekend? What are you up to? Just tell me all the things. And I will see you guys again real soon. Bye.